Hey, I'm Jennifer Hurwitz, best-selling author of the books One Happy Divorce and Woulda, Coulda, Shoulda. I'm a relationship coach, a public speaker, and I'm the mom of two of the most kick-ass teenage boys around. Raw, authentic, and insightful, this podcast is a no-bullshit slice of reality for anyone curious about what it looks like to get divorced. On Doing Divorce Right, we'll give you the tools you'll need to navigate your relationships, whether you're contemplating divorce or have already signed the papers. We'll figure it out together without taking ourselves too seriously here on Doing Divorce Right podcast. The SoberLink system is designed to make parenting time safer with real-time remote alcohol monitoring. SoberLink uniquely combines a breathalyzer with wireless connectivity and is the only system that includes facial recognition, tamper detection, and advanced reporting. Parents can submit a test anytime, anywhere, thanks to SoberLink's wireless technology, which delivers test results by text message or email to the concerned parties. Simplify co-parenting arrangements by using the system that provides transparency and proof of sobriety throughout the day. Flexible schedules combined with real-time delivery of results make SoberLink the experts in remote alcohol monitoring technology. It's my pleasure to offer my listeners $50 off your device. Just email info@soberlink.com and mention Doing Divorce Right. But hurry, it's for a limited time only. Soberlink.com. Good morning. Good morning. This is Doing Divorce Right. I'm Jennifer Hurwitz. I'm your host every Tuesday. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Welcome. Oh boy, am I excited for today's episode. Everything is so confusing when you are going through a divorce. It's so confusing. For me, I was confused. I had no idea what to do. Oh my gosh. So, especially now with the pandemic, I think the divorce rate is up, unfortunately. People have no idea where to turn, what to do. Divorce coach, CFA, mediator. Oh, I'm so glad to have my friend Rosemary Ferrante in the house today with us. I'm just going to read your bio first, Rosemary, if you don't mind. Rosemary is an attorney. She's a licensed attorney in New York and Connecticut, correct?
Yes.
Okay. She focuses her practice on non-adversarial divorce through mediation and the collaborative divorce processes, which is my favorite thing. I just love it. Your goal, Rosemary, is to make a positive impact on divorce process by giving couples the resources and tools they need to help their family transition smoothly through the restructuring of their family. I love this, and I love collaborative law. I love mediation. It's what I did. I think everybody should do it if they can have the opportunity. So welcome. How are you, honey?
I'm good. Thank you. So happy to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you. You have no idea, because I feel like everybody needs you.
Oh gosh. Well, everybody needs information, right?
Yes. Everybody. I do. I think so. I think everybody needs you. Everybody needs a coach. But I think you can't have everything. I think you need to really just know what to do and where to go. And especially now. So I'm just going to let you go. I'm going to let you tell us, what do we do? Where do we start?
Okay. All right. Well, there's a lot of information out there, and there's a lot of bad information out there.
Right.
So, So the first thing that people really need to contemplate, or you know what, I'm going to even take a step back.
Do it.
Because I get this a lot.
Okay.
I have my consultations with both spouses. I like them to understand their options together. Initially together. Yeah. And I think it's a good message for both spouses to hear the processes, the legal options that they have for transitioning their family through the divorce process, and also understanding the resources and the professionals who are out there to help them. Because we can hear the words divorce coach, we can hear the words CDFA, but until we're really sitting down with a professional, highlighting the issues, understanding the issues very specific to your family, those are just words. What is a divorce coach, right? What is a CDFA? And is it relevant? Because like you said, we can't all hire everybody.
Right.
And it takes a team. And so who is that team for your family that's going to provide you both with the individual support you need and the information you need so that you can make good decisions throughout the process?
Right. I have a quick question to interrupt you. And my listeners hate when I do this, but I do have a quick question. What if it's a high conflict divorce and one of the people doesn't want to come into, how do you feel about that? You really want both people?
I do. And so people sometimes can't do that. I will tell you though, as you mentioned, every family is so different and every dynamic is so different. So I've had situations where people have litigated. In fact, just last week, I had a consultation with a lovely couple who are so tired and burnt because they started the process last June
No.
2019 with attorneys. And they realize now, oh my gosh, we've spent a lot of money and we've gotten nowhere. And now with the pandemic, very little's happening in court. If litigation it made no sense before. Now, forget it. You're not getting anywhere in court.
No.
And so they came together and they sort of were like, Uncle, we can't do this anymore. What is mediation? And I felt so badly for them because there was so much built up resentment and anger. Thankfully, they sort of put the guns back in the holsters to have this meeting together to get information. And I'm happy to say that they're going to proceed with mediation to just put some closure to this.
Fantastic. Yeah.
So sometimes people do say to me, I don't know if I'll be able to get my spouse to come to a consultation. And I actually do workshops as well with a certified divorce financial analyst and a panel of different mental health professionals ranging from coaches to therapists to co-parenting counselors to give people the information if they need it and their spouse isn't quite there yet.
I love that. Do we have that? Do we have that in the show notes that we can put it?
I think we do.
Okay, good. Yes.
I think we do. In fact, I have another workshop on this Friday, and so we're doing them all online.
But actually, we're airing this, so guys, you will have missed that. I know it's all messed up. But if you have another one, we'll get that in there. We'll figure it out. Okay. Perfect.
We definitely do. We do them every month, pretty much.
Awesome.
So, when both people do come for the consultation, of course, everything right now is via Zoom. I review with them what their options are. So what are your options? Litigation, collaborative divorce, or mediation?
Okay. Do you want to explain that to my listeners in case they don't know?
Absolutely.
Do you mind?
So not at all.
Okay.
So litigation, as you know, the old school, we're both going to hire attorneys, and your attorneys are going to do what attorneys do, which is prepare for trial.
Sure.
So they're going to lead the process. They're going to file motions if necessary to have temporary issues resolved in court. The court is involved from day one. There will be status conferences, pre-trial conferences, and your attorney certainly may be having settlement discussions along the way. There will be formal discovery, depositions, and eventually you'll have a trial date.
I'm sweating even thinking about it.
I know. I mean, if I wasn't glad before the pandemic that I didn't litigate anymore, I am thrilled now because those hearings are happening via Zoom or Google Meets or whatever it is. Yeah. You're getting 20 minutes in front of a judge, and people want their day in court. They want their story heard, but there's a visual that a lot of litigators / mediators / collaborative attorneys use. If you have a piece of paper and you can envision your entire story on a piece of paper, right? When you tell your attorney it, he's getting half of the piece of paper, half of the story. And then he's got to filter it through evidentiary rules. And so then that paper is folded in a quarter. And eventually, by the time you get to the judge, he's having a little inch piece of paper folded up 15,000 times. That's the story that
I have the chills. I'm thinking about it going, this is just no. Okay. Yeah.
So, most I think it's something like 95% of divorces do settle anyway without that eventual trial.
Sure. Yes.
But it's the getting to from A to Z. What's the process that makes sense? So if you're litigating, you're going through all of those steps that I just mentioned.
Okay.
Collaborative is a little different. So you both have attorneys, but there's a written participation agreement that nobody is going to court. So the goal of every collaborative meeting is you and your spouse and your respective attorneys and potentially a neutral financial and a mental health professional, depending on the needs of your family, get together and talk about goals and interests and resolutions that best align with your respective goals.
I kind of love that. I think it's just,
it's
fabulous.
Such a great process.
I know, right?
It's such, and when you know that neither lawyer is going to play lawyer games and there's not going to be posturing, positional bargaining, you can look at your family and really, because Z is a separation agreement that ultimately has to be approved by the court. But what I call that separation agreement is your blueprint for your post-divorce life.
Love it.
So it's going to contain your parenting plan and your financials and all the decisions you've made. And you want that agreement to make sense for both of you.
Right.
And so then the last process is mediation. And that's really the lion's share of my business. And so in mediation, both spouses meet with a mediator who's an unbiased facilitator of conversation. And, that's really what it boils down to. It's conversation, it's discussion, because how are you both going to make the decisions that are relevant for your family? You have to be discussing it. You need to be breaking things down. You need to be exploring other options. Nobody wins, right?
Okay, right.
And so what solutions are best for both of you? And most importantly, your kids, if there are kids.
Yeah.
So, especially when it comes to the parenting plan, I look at it as not a parenting plan. It's a child's plan. What is best for your kids?
I love that. I love that. Right? Say that again. But that's going to be I love it. That's wonderful. Yes, that's how I think. That's how. That's why you're here. I love it.
And the parenting plan, it's not about you. It's not about who gets the most time with your kids. It's what makes sense for your kids.
Yes. I mean, I always say, you've got to put your kids first. Absolutely. And, that's all we talk about every day. So I love you. I love this. Everyone listening, please. I love that it's a child's plan. It's not a parenting plan. I love that, Rosemary. Thank you. That's why you're here. Okay. Keep going. I'm not interrupting. Go ahead.
Oh, gosh. So we talk about the different options. Oh, and through the mediation process, by the way, there are different professionals who can be assisting you.
There we go.
If you choose mediation or collaborative, you still have the option and are encouraged and should be encouraged to have the support you need outside of the process to help you. And so that's where people like you come in, divorce coaches and certified divorce financial analysts and co-parenting counselors. And none of those words or professionals really make sense unless they're relevant to your situation. Is the conflict in your specific family financially related? Are there complex finances? Are there valuation issues? We're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about the professionals who are available to assist you both, because the goal is all of those decisions you make that are going to eventually be formalized into your separation agreement need to be made with your eyes open. No judgment on that agreement. The beauty of keeping the court out of it and mediating or using a collaborative divorce process is, although judicial norms are one standard for you to understand and know when making decisions, that's only one standard. Right. The other standard is your family.
Absolutely.
And, nobody knows your family as well as you do.
Exactly.
So what makes the most sense for you both? And what is the best plan to set you both up for positive post-divorce lives? Because isn't that what we all want?
Right. Well, you think you do when you're going through it, right? And your emotions are so involved and they're heightened. And it's so nice to have that collaborative team that says, whoa, it's because you're making decisions for the long term, right? For the future. Mm-hmm. And they're so important. And you don't, sometimes you forget that when you're going through it, right?
And you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
It's so often a CDFA is so important, but their role can be every single one of my mediations looks different in terms of the team and in terms of the family's needs. So we might have a certified divorce financial analyst from the beginning involved in every step of the financial disclosures. And, it may be that one party or one spouse doesn't understand, certain aspects of the financial life. And that doesn't, so often that isn't any reflection of that person. It's a reflection of, the family dynamic. Typically in a marriage, one person is more involved in the finances.
Or they're married to a CDFA. And then you're like, wait a minute.
Right. Right.
In my case, I was like, wait a minute. How do I do what's going on? And, luckily he was a good guy and he took care of me. But if not, I would have been really in big trouble, Oh
my gosh, it's overwhelming.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, what is going on? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, tax consequences or, what does this look like?
What's a quadro? I had never heard that word before. Never.
I know. Who has? Why would you? Right?
Thank you. I appreciate that because I had no clue. I felt like the biggest dummy. I was like, what? Who? Where's it? What do you mean a checkbook? I had no idea. 13 years of marriage. I was a stay-at-home mom. I had no idea.
Yeah, no, it's overwhelming. And so right now I'm involved in a mediation where one spouse really just needs to even the playing field so she feels more able to make these decisions. So we talked about what a CDFA does.
Mm-hmm.
She's interviewed someone, she found the person she wants to work for. And so now the next step is deciding with the two spouses, okay, what's going to make the most sense? Should this CDFA be in the mediation meetings?
Okay.
Or should she be outside working solely with the wife in this case? And
right.
they were both happy and want her to be in the meetings, both with full consent. So, of course, if the husband in this instance said that doesn't make me comfortable, then that's fine. The wife would have her conversations outside of the mediation.
I love that. That's great.
Right. But in this particular instance, they're both very interested in having her come in more as a neutral.
Sure.
And so she'll be involved and she'll be able to assist them both with various analysis to help them make the decisions that are best for both of them.
And isn't that great that they can do that?
Oh, so great.
I mean, that's fantastic. I just think that's just everyone listening. Like that's just how it should. I feel like if you can, oh my gosh, I just think that's great. That's great. And sometimes it can't happen. Sometimes you just can't. You can't get to that place. But hopefully,
Well, and so you need a guide, right? Yes. So, I mean, so much of this is putting your team together as a family, understanding that you're still going to be a family. The family doesn't stop the date of the divorce, right?
No, it just restructures. I tell people it just changes.
100%.
Yes.
It's a restructuring. And so how do you get there? I had a really interesting conversation the other day with two people I just started working with. And right off the bat, they had met with review attorneys. And we can talk about the role of review attorneys.
Please.
Met with review attorneys before finding their mediator.
Okay.
And they came and their very first session after the consultation, they wanted to talk about who was moving out and when, and they were in a real big rush for that to happen.
Sure.
And mostly because their review counsel was telling them, this isn't healthy, get out of the house. And the husband said, I want to start the healing process. And I think that she should move out and with their child. And I said, interesting, because to me, the healing process begins the day you both decided to get divorced, because now you can just look forward. Don't look backwards anymore. Now you're going to look forward, right? And so in their instance, after talking with them, I said, you don't want to rush this.
I agree.
Because, right?
I'm with you.
Rushing somebody out of the house makes absolutely no sense. You haven't even started to discuss the parenting plan. You haven't even started to discuss the finances.
I would say the same thing. I'm with you.
Slow down.
Yes,
right?
Please. Take a breath, because that's all.
Yeah. So they did it. They slowed down, and we're going to start to have conversations, and we're going to start to identify issues and, identify resources and professionals who can help them, and they'll get there because, it's a process as I know. And
yes. That's a big jump to quickly just move on. I mean, that's a lot. That's in my opinion, I agree with you. That's quick. Yeah. But divorces are like snowflakes. I tell people, everyone is different. Everything, that's good for one is not good for the other. But
and even us divorce professionals, I'll share with you that during my divorce, which was 5 years ago, about
mine too.
Yeah. I was a divorce professional, so I thought, I've got this covered. Listen, emotionally is another story, but legally and in terms of agreement and language, I thought, okay, we're going to just do this together. And we did. And it was a very smooth process. But what we didn't do, which I wish we would have done, was worked with a professional together. And whether that was a co-parenting counselor, probably would have made the most sense, because I think we just sort of checked the boxes on our parenting plan, and we were very much like, we're going to work it out. And we have, but I think we would have been much more aligned if we had delved into the conversations more. Nobody when you're getting divorced wants to talk about what if, or the significant other, or relocation, or all of those tough conversations, but have them then, so that at least you're aligned, right?
Yeah, we did. And you know what? I didn't want to, but I literally went into my the darkest horror. Like, what if she has to give, what if my ex-husband or my husband, I call my husband, what if, he finds a woman and the girl has to give him Tylenol? I'm like, just like the craziest things. Do I want them on a vacation over Hanukkah and the third degree? I'm like, I was just nuts.
Yeah.
I was nuts. But you don't think about those things, right? Like,
well, and we do that in mediation, but because I made it was sort of, what's that word called? Like, is the professional mistake or the shoemaker without the shoemaker,
shoes, right? Exactly, right. That's right.
We didn't use that as that resource that was there for us because I was certain that we had that covered. And again, we've done well, but you can always do better,
of course.
Right?
Well, I think also you're right. You don't know what you don't know. Is that what you said in the beginning?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you just think that the only thing you have is like the 225 or the, whatever the plan is. You don't have other choices. And then I remember looking at Mark and saying, well, what if we nested? And he was like, well, I said, what if we, and then he said, well, what is that? And the mediator looked at me and said, that's an she just said you could do that. And we kind of made up our own thing. And then I said, well, what if we, did week on, week off? And he was like, he looked at her and he said, can we do that? And she was like, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize you can really, have options, right? You can do anything you want if it works for the two of you.
And it's so funny.
Whoever your family, right?
Exactly. And the parenting plans have evolved, right? So I started practicing, in the 90s. And back in those days, there was a lot of that old school, alternate weekends, one dinner a week. We don't see that anymore.
No,
so you can see, there's 25 different options. But even now with COVID and people working from home and kids, schooling from home, it's an even bigger opportunity for the parent who maybe was working outside of the home to parents now during the week to figure it out. Now you're home with the kids the same amount of time as the other spouse. And it's an opportunity for different parenting post-divorce that can be an amazing thing.
Yeah. It's really interesting, how things have really evolved. It is really, it's awesome. Yeah. And, it's funny because, and also things can change. People are like, well, they're set. I feel like a lot of people are set in stone, like with their plans. But as kids get older, things can change. And I just feel like you have an opportunity.
And you know what? That is a little tip for people. You should, one of the things that I always encourage people to do in their parenting plan, and by the way, anything in your agreement that has to do with the kids, whether it's child support or parenting plan, is always modifiable. The court's never going to close the door on a kid issue.
Right.
That being said, the goal is never to have to go back to court, right? So throw in some frameworks. We all know that there are parenting decisions you might disagree about.
Absolutely.
Married people disagree, divorced people disagree. So put in a framework for how are you going to try to resolve any of those disagreements so that you're not both left a year later saying, oh crap, now what do we do?
Right.
And throw in a provision that says, listen, we understand that the needs of a 5 and a 2-year-old aren't the same of older children. So we're going to revisit this plan every 2 years and make sure it continues to be meet the best interest of the kids.
Absolutely, because you have that option. I think you're absolutely right. People don't know what they don't know. They don't know that they have that option because really, who's going to tell you if you don't have someone like you or a coach or right? I mean, who's going to say you can do this? This option is available to you. So that's why they need a you.
Well, and so often, so many people are focused on, my friend's this, my sister that.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to look like that. Everyone knows what they don't want. But they don't necessarily know what they do want.
Right. And I also think so many people are, I don't want to say so many, but a lot of people are they're angry. Really, going through it. Obviously, they're angry. They're emotional. They can't see the long term. And so it's hard. It's really hard. Divorce is hard.
You know what it is? Getting divorced sucks, right?
Oh,
but we know that being divorced does not.
Right. Well, depending. Depending on the day. Yeah. I mean, I have my days still that I think, oh my God, what did I do? But it totally. The process just sucks. Any way you slice it, it does. But I think if you can find people a nice team around you and support system, the process can be easier if you, and I think there are so many people like us right now that just, don't you feel like there's more people like that know how to help? That's everywhere I look. There's people like us.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the beauty of it there. And the one silver lining from this pandemic is that geography is broken down in a way that is so wonderful for people who need good information, because they can work with you where you are. They can work with me where I am. And, finding that right team isn't dictated by your location anymore.
Oh, that's such a great point. So people can everyone use you now?
Yeah. So, the difference for me is in terms of drafting agreements and preparing the paperwork needed for court, I can do those in my jurisdictions.
Okay, right.
A lot of mediators do work outside of their jurisdiction, but you would need local attorneys. So actually, we should talk about review counsel.
Yes, please, yes.
So a lot of people say to me, if I'm going to mediate with a mediator, and then we're both going to have review counsel, this is going to get much more expensive than we thought. Right. And many people look at mediation as a great option because it typically is less expensive.
Right.
So review counsel is always encouraged. It's not mandatory and it's not required. It's one of a support team that might make sense to you. And I really encourage it because, you can go through the mediation process and make as well-informed decisions as you can, but it's always a good idea, obviously, before you sign a legal agreement, to have an attorney who's just representing you look it over.
Exactly.
Choosing your review counsel is really important, though, because you can choose a litigator, you can choose a mediator, you can choose a collaborative attorney. I always encourage people to find attorneys who do mediate and collaborate and participate in collaborative process as well, because they understand. And I do review work. I love review work. My goal is not to upset the mediation process, but to make sure people have the information they need to make good decisions.
Because sometimes if you get an attorney that is not collaborative, or and you get a litigator after you've done the whole mediation process, and they're and then they start to find things that they can upset the apple cart, kind of. Isn't that true?
It is true. Thankfully, I don't see that often.
Okay,
and I think it's because we really talk about in the process what to look for in a review counsel.
Can you recommend people?
Absolutely.
Okay,
I do.
That was my next thing, because that's what happened with us. Our mediator actually recommended someone, but we ended up, I don't know if my husband and I, we went through mediation, and then we actually shared a review person also.
Interesting.
Now, people say not to do that, but we did that too.
I was going to say, I wouldn't recommend that.
I know, people don't, but that's how good. We were actually we were so amicable. He was just like, let's fine. And then, so far it's been, we're good so far. It's been 5 years, so we'll see. But
good.
But people, you're supposed to, it's okay. Go ahead.
And the other interesting thing to think about with review counsel is, so many of my clients don't get review counsel. Many do. And then if they do, some people, there's two different ways that you can have review counsel. So some people sort of want a coach / review counsel throughout the process. And so I've had that. I've had clients who call me and they want to ask me questions throughout the process, so they're better informed, and that makes perfect sense. More often, at least in my jurisdiction, what people do is they go through the whole mediation process, they have a draft agreement, and then they go to review counsel with their draft and their financial affidavits, or whatever they're called in your jurisdiction. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the goal for that, I always tell people, you can show, I'm looking at a piece of paper in front of me. You can show this piece of paper to any attorney and they'll find 10 things wrong with it. And I say wrong with it with the quotes. The goal is you've gone through a deliberate and conscientious mediation process. If you've done that, you should know that agreement inside out, because it's your agreement. So if an attorney, says to you, why did you do this? Or what was the thinking behind that? You should know. And
absolutely.
It's a good exercise for you to really ensure that you understand that agreement.
That's a great point.
Yeah. Yeah. And as review, that's my goal, is to make sure you understand it, because no judgment on your agreement. If you decided to do something outside of judicial norms, but it makes sense to you and you understand it's outside of judicial norms, and you're doing it with your eyes open, that's your prerogative.
Yeah, more power to you, right? Yeah, if the attorney says, "Well, do you know that you're doing this?" and you say, "Oh my God, no, I don't know that I'm doing that," then that's a problem.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes total sense.
And there have been situations where I'm the mediator and people, because of their story, right? So that huge page that we're talking about, have decided to do something outside of judicial norms. And if it's so far beyond the judicial norms in my jurisdiction, that's when I will do more than encourage review. I really want you to have review counsel, because, as mediator, I can't give you legal advice. But we've talked about the judicial norms and we've talked about the information you need, and you still want to do that. It will strengthen your agreement if you both have attorneys reviewing it. And what you don't want to happen is 6 months, a year after your agreement is finalized, one party to say, "I didn't understand it."
Right.
And so if you both had review counsel, less likely that will happen. And by the way, this is the what I see over and over, and I'm sure you hear about over and over. At the end, so many people are ready to just say, "I'm done. Let's just be done."
Yes. Or they give up the ranch. They're I'm so tired. I've had enough. I just want to get out of this. And they give up half their, I'm like, whoa. Just take a little more time, to get it right and make sure that that everyone's happy. Everyone is happy before you know what I'm saying? Don't you feel that way?
100%. Do you find that you're so often, I think that we probably sing the same song, a slow down, right?
Yes, this is breathe. Because I'm real, me, I'm like that way too. Oh my gosh. But no. Please. Everyone breathe, right? Take a deep breath.
Breathe. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. When you're in a rush, slow down.
Slow down. Please don't.
I say that to my kids all the time, right?
Yes. It's okay. Just take or sleep on it. Everything looks better in the morning. Let's just make a decision tomorrow. Anything. But I feel like I do feel that way. And it's not just women. Everyone say, people say it's women. Women always do. No, it's everyone. I feel like both sides.
I've seen it on both sides.
About me too.
Sure.
Me too. Or even with parenting plans, it's fine. Just give her the extra day. I don't care. She can have Thanksgiving, or he can have, whatever. And then I'm like, wait, because you say that now, but next year when you feel better or you feel whatever, and she's in the Bahamas with the kids and you're sitting alone, are you going to be happy with that?
And you know what? I see the opposite too, because I'm so lucky that my clients are so amazing, and I learn from them every day. And I've had clients who literally are best friends. And they, and so more often I'll see we're going to work it out and it's going to be fine. And I said, I have to do a little devil's advocate,
good.
But what if that's not the case? Because you never know. And I hope it's always going to stay that
but it doesn't.
amicable. It might not.
Because what happens is they're always people are best friends, and then someone falls in love or starts dating. And that's when I'm telling you, I see it all fall apart, and they call me and they're like, "I never thought it would happen." I'm like, "Oh God."
Those damn significant others.
They ruin everything.
Oh my gosh, I saw the funniest. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to find it now, but it was, or really explain it well, but there was a TikTok or something, and it was the new significant other and the old significant other, and they were sort of saying we're going to align, right? We're going to be on the same team, because listen,
that's fine.
What I've said to my ex-husband is, you've got really good taste in women. So I'm sure that whomever you meet is going to be as awesome as I am.
What the worst is my husband and my significant other, my boy, they team up on me.
Yeah.
It's the worst. I'm like, wait a minute, you two need to stand there. Like, no, it's your fault, Jen. I'm like, oh my gosh, seriously? It's the worst.
Yeah. Now you've got two.
I've got two of the same. It's like, okay, I'm done. Oh my gosh, this was actually this is one of my favorite episodes. This is so informative. And I feel like I need to tag this and make a really good title for it so that listeners, everyone, you need to listen. This is a great episode. I think it's really been awesome.
Thank you. So fun.
Yeah. You're great. I think you're great. I think that, so wait, first of all, where can everybody find you? We're going to put it all in the show notes, but tell everybody the easiest place to find you.
I think the easiest place is my website. It's divorcemediationct.com.
Yeah, that's
And that has all of my social media. That's got all of my links.
Okay. And I find you on Instagram all the time, but we're going to put everything in the show notes. It's been fabulous to have you here. I can't even tell you, this has been just, oh my gosh, so much information. The pandemic sucks. Hopefully it'll be over soon. Oh my gosh. But you're lovely. You're lovely and you're fabulous. And I loved having you.
As are you.
Oh,
thank you so much.
Oh, it was fabulous. And everybody, you know where to find me. Where do you find me? Oh, yeah, JenniferHurwitz.com. It's easy. Or where am I? And on Instagram, it's Doing Divorce Right. And that's what you should do. Just do divorce right.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Everybody get out there, do something fun today. And as always, peace, love, and so much truth, guys. Have a great day. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to Doing Divorce Right. Don't forget, if you love the show, subscribe, rate, and review anywhere you get your episodes. And grab my books, One Happy Divorce and Woulda, Coulda, Shoulda, on Amazon, Target.com, or my website, JenniferHurwitz.com. As usual, thanks for listening. And we'll see you next week. Peace, love, and truth.